What are scales and arpeggios, and why do we learn them? So we shouldn't just be learning them for exams. Unfortunately, that is why a lot of people learn them, and the only time they practice them is when they have an exam coming up. And that's such a shame, because scales do form a huge part of the foundation of our playing. If you think about the Western music that we tend to play, it's all made up from these scales, chords, arpeggios, different harmonies, which all derive from these scales. So a knowledge of these keys, an understanding of these keys, a sort of deeper understanding, so they're kind of almost in your being, is really essential. If you look at a piece, any piece that you're playing of Western music, whatever genre, see how many scale passages you can identify, see how many chords, see how many parts of an arpeggio, even if that's not what we call in root position, if it's starting on another note, if it's not the whole of that arpeggio, see what you can find, and you will see that most of your music is just made up from scales, chords, arpeggios. So having this firm knowledge of them is really, really important. Being able to play in any key is really, really important. So as a teacher, I come across many students who really fear anything more, with more sharps or flats than 4 in a key, and they would choose a different piece even if they didn't like it, just because it has less sharps and flats. And then you're cutting yourself off from playing lots of wonderful music. So it's not as hard as you think to learn these patterns, these keys, these scales. Again, it's a discipline. It's a consistent, methodical discipline. Don't think of them just as a lot of notes cobbled together. Try and understand the patterns. Try and play them in a musical way. So often we're asked to start at a certain dynamic and have a small crescendo on the way up and a small decrescendo on the way down. Just give them some shape, but think all the time about how they feel under the hand. That's so important. It really is important. It's not, as I say, just for exams. There are lots of wonderful publications on scales. I've got a few of them in front of me here, and over the coming weeks I am going to be talking in more depth about each one, starting with these fantastic scale books by Ben Andrew. Ben is a film composer who now lives in America. He previously was head of piano at Stowe School. He has a huge knowledge of teaching piano as well as writing music, and he's written these books which are they're very well illustrated, and they are fantastic for students who learn by shapes and patterns, and they're fantastic for helping you to get those patterns, shapes and finger patterns into your hand and into your memory, so that they are just there. And that's where they need to be there. They need to not be something we have to think about, that we can do instantly. And therefore we mustn't just practice them when we're going to do an exam. We need to be practicing them on a daily basis. And yes, there are so many, and yes, you have to learn them all at some point if you want to be a really good pianist, but you can do it in a way which is not quite so difficult, so long-winded. If you build yourself a chart and you repeat several times a week the same scales, so that you're doing everything in rotation. Again, I'm going to go into this more in other videos, but I just wanted to talk today about why we learn scales, and it's not just for exams.